School safety has turned into my life's work. We have to make sure that when a kid is in our facility and in our care, that we are doing everything possible to keep that kid safe.
When there's an emergency in a school, it's all entities are going to be responding, and so we have to be on the same page and speak the same language so that we can be the most efficient in our responses and make our students and staff as safe as possible.
The work that the I Love You Guys Foundation is doing sets people up like me to do that work, and to do that work the best we possibly can. Standard Response Protocol was inspired by the shooting at Platte Canyon High School in 2006. At that time, we were using a crisis response manual that was around 72 pages. All of those 72 pages really came down to 5 distinct actions that you could take in the classrooms. It was lock down, lock out, shelter in place, and evacuate. We've since have now added protocols around hold, and we are going to be changing the lockout protocol to secure. And that was really where the concept of the Standard Response Protocol came from.
The Standard Response Protocol is a guide of emergency actions that school staff and teachers and students can use during emergency circumstances. They're able to provide resources that are vetted by experts from all over the country and throughout the world.
The origin and the development of the SRP has always had a home in evidence-based information. The intent of going out and talking to our law enforcement partners and our first responders and our teachers and our students was to develop the concepts around what works and why does it work. That at its core is evidence-based research. Unfortunately, as we continue to see acts of violence occur in our schools, and every time one of those happens, we learn something new from that around how to respond to crisis.
The I Love You Guys Foundation does a great job in making sure that their processes and their procedures stay current. The 2021 version, the term lockout has been changed to secure. I can tell you as a former law enforcement officer, that term was often confused with lockdown. Lockouts or a secure situation, as they've changed it to now, would occur on probably a daily basis throughout all the school districts in America. Police ask the school to close their doors and secure their perimeter because there's something going on in the community that has nothing to do with the school. A lockdown is a much more serious action to be taken. Usually it's because of a much more serious situation within the school itself. Because those two actions are so drastically different, we were looking for a change to the SRP.
If someone calls for a lockdown instead of a lockout, that's a much more distracting and stressful situation for our students and our staff.
You would see how language was confused. Teachers wouldn't know what they were talking about. Parents would be confused because they would hear about a lockout and they thought it was a really terrifying situation when really their kids weren't even impacted by it.
When you call for a lockdown, that means that there's an act of violence occurring inside your facility. But when you call for a lockdown, that is locks, lights, out of sight, and this building and all buildings stop. For our protocols, the only way we can release that lockdown protocol is we have to have law enforcement agencies come to this building, get keys, and they go door to door and unlock every single classroom. That takes time out of our educational environment and out of our educational day just because of the confusion between the terms lockout and lockdown. By moving to secure, our intent here is that we're going to eliminate that confusion.
The other change this year is one new action, hold. We could use that hold to say, hey, listen, we're not releasing you out to the hallways. Hold is a good intermediate action.
We had a situation where we had a student who was ill in the hallway and that needed medical attention from first responders. For us to be able to say, we are now in a hold, and for students and staff to understand when that bell rings that you're going to stay put in your classroom is a huge thing for us. That is critical for us to be able to get first responders in, respond to the situation, and get first responders out. A drill it's a non-traumatic experience. It's about teaching the concepts of this is what you do, but you don't have to scare people to do that.
Drills are mastery of the basics. We're just trying to teach and reinforce behaviors that we want to exhibit during an emergency.
In an exercise, you bring in elements of reality that make that much more intense. On occasion, with your law enforcement partners, and oftentimes when school's out of session, in a summer, we might do something like that to train our first responders and law enforcement. They need that realism. Kids don't need to feel that. Kids just need to know this is exactly what I do. It's locks, lights, out of sight in a lockdown, and that doesn't have to be traumatic.
As a Director of Safety and Security, the new SRP changes allow us to be more flexible. It gives us more options, more tools in the toolbox to change the language and to base the protocols off of information that's real time and situations that really occur. It's important.
This is something that has to continually evolve. We always have to improve to make it better, to make sure our kids are as safe as they can possibly be when they're in our schools. It's the right work at the right time.